Welcome back, family, to the Mission Critical Podcast. I am your host, Minister Tawana Cummings, and I have Dr. Levi here.
Oh, that's it, girl.
Dr. Levi Rozier. Welcome back.
Hey, that's it. Welcome back for real. This has been a roller coaster ride this month.
It has been, but it's been good,
It's been good. It's been some good conversation. People have been watching some of the comments on the podcast, comment on, especially mental health. Mental health is a taboo, but yet at the same time, it's something that need to be talked about.
It does. And so I'm glad that we have taken the time to ask questions, to answer questions, to get up on the platform and really recognize May as Mental Health Awareness Month. And because sometimes we just go about our days and we don't stop and check in and think about how we feel.
That's good. That's really good.
Taking the time, Pastor, thank you for allowing us to take the time to check in with ourselves. I think it's been really important, and we've gathered a lot. That first opening sermon series, I'm not crazy. I'm human. I mean, because a lot of times we think like we don't see the humanistic side of us. We don't give ourselves enough grace. Now, there are some people that give themselves too much grace. They excuse a lot of behaviors, but sometimes we don't give ourselves enough grace to just say, I'm human. It's okay for me to feel. It's okay for me to cry. It's okay for me to, feel burdened sometimes, but I don't have to feel like that forever and always.
And then all those emotions you called out are all natural emotions. And some of those natural emotions are also a defensive emotion for us and protective mechanism. That when you do feel cry, you start feeling things, fight or flight mode. Those are good mechanisms to have. It's just when they're off balance.
Yeah, when they're going overdrive.
Oh God, overdrive in the word. So I think this. I'm not crazy thing going on. It's something we all have to remind ourselves that you could see something, and then somebody could tell a lie enough. You're like, did I really see that? You start asking yourself, did I really say that? I'm telling you, it's just that's how that thing will work, and have you thinking, man, I'm losing my mind. No, you're just tired, you're human, and you just might need to take a break.
That's right. And breaks are well needed.
Well needed, I promise you.
I don't think, some people don't take enough of them.
No, not in a way where I think we plan a lot of stuff on our calendar, and that's not the one thing that you really plan. We do like family vacations, all that kind of stuff, but where on your calendar do you do like a Sabbath or once a week where it's you time or a time where you can kind of, whatever that is, or maybe a break. And so I think we don't do enough of it. Now we got our phone to keep us steady. So even when we stopping, we're not stopping.
What's something that you do that people wouldn't expect that you would do in regard to a break? What is something that you enjoy that people wouldn't think that you enjoy?
Now, of course, everybody, you gotta know I love reading, all right? I love reading, but one of the things I told you, I think on this podcast before, I let the dog out and said I like watching Hogan Hero.
Yes, we did talk about that.
I like watching Hogan. And it's, I got upset with on the TV channel because they took it off, but it's on Prime now. It's on Prime. I can get it on Prime. But what it was, it came on every night at 10, and they did 2 segments, right? So my wife like, why are you watching this German movie and all that? I said, because baby, I don't want to think.
Yeah,
I still want to think. So I think that's one of the major things I do that nobody got to do. Also, I like going to a movie in the daytime and watch some stupid movie that I don't have to think about it.
Okay.
I don't want no plot. My wife watch certain movie. I can't watch no suspense stuff. I think in other room. I don't want to have to watch stuff and just think.
Right. Just like somebody asked me to go to an escape room. For what? I do not want to try to escape out of a room. No, thank you. I don't want to have to try to do no numbers to get out, think about all this razzle dazzle. No, I think enough on a daily basis. I don't want to think about that.
Yes.
But I appreciate getting to know this side of you, Pastor, because I'm going to tell you, Pastor is so serious.
Oh, my God.
He is so serious. I sat in on an executive team meeting and I said, let me sit up straight and button my jacket, okay, because he's not here to play. All right, so this teaches me, I like seeing both sides, the serious side and the laid back side. I like the laid back side, but I know the serious side bring that pressure that we all need. Okay, all right, Pastor, I got a few things that I want to talk about today. Mental illness versus mental wellness. When you think about the words mental illness, what comes to your mind?
Mental illness would be someone who may have schizophrenia, thing that they really, it's an illness that has to be managed. Something that they probably didn't do on their own.
Right.
Or maybe came because of some trauma. That it's an illness that needs some immediate, medication to function, just to function.
Right.
To me, that's an illness. That's an illness. You can't blame mama, daddy. It just, I don't know who decided, but life that's happened to you is almost unfair. To me, that's an illness. To me, that's what mental illness is. When you bring someone to church and they got autism, bring someone to church and they got things that they can't sit in my room because it's too loud. That's an illness. And we talk about every other illness. So why, that mental illness got to be dealt with also.
Right. Do you get people who you encounter or members of the church who come to you and feel like, or have talked to you and try to place blame with their mental illness, like blame themselves or a family member? And
yes.
if you do, how do you manage that?
Yes.
How do you manage that?
I don't do well. Go ahead.
Hold on 1 second, y'all. One more thing. I'm learning also too, as I watch the, our videos back, I'm like, oh, I got ADHD. I need to let Pastor answer one question before I jump to the next. So I'm working on asking a question and letting Pastor fully explain before I jump into the next thing. But Pastor, how do you deal with someone who feels like a mental illness or is something that they did?
The honest answer to that is that I where I am today is not where I've always been. All right, let's start there first. I came out of not knocking anybody's religion now. I came out of that Pentecostal vein where everything was, not everybody's church now, not saying everything, but the disposition I was in, we almost demonized everything. Everything had to be a demon. Everything, either you did them wrong, God, and that was just an ignorant disposition at that time. Not blaming the church I was in or whatever. It was just ignorance on its own. Now, of course, as you grow, you learn, you study, you get doing this thing called passion. Of course, that is not true. I was so wrong to even think that someone's mental illness has to do with something that they did wrong in a sin. Mom and dad walk away feeling guilty, go home and fast 10 hours and come back and then the scary part about it. So I got an answer to go fast, and you come back and they still hadn't changed. So now so the honest answer to that to one, that is totally off. Now, am I saying there's some things that someone smoking crack while you pregnant, that something may happen? I can't deny that. That's real talk. But that's not a lot of the questions we're getting. We're getting, I had a child, all of a sudden, this one, it's got something going on. I told you all before stage that my mom we got my brother who can't hear us talk, who got spinal meningitis, and he can't hear nor talk. Do my mom and dad take ownership? I know a young lady whose child has died right now. She's my high school teacher. And her child, I forgot the disease that she has, but it's an illness. But here's why it came, because I got sickle cell, right? So those two traits can't come together, right? If those two traits come together, the child may have an illness. Right. Well, those two traits came together, and the child had an illness. That has nothing to do with sin, though.
Yeah,
it's just two chromosomes come together. And this what happen. Those things are happening. We can't deny that part. But to say every child that's born with some illness is because a parent's sin is totally sinful.
Right. I'm gonna go here, and I know that this might be a controversial thing. There are some people who aren't believers who feel like, why do we believe in a God that allows things like this to be? What do you say to the person who's an unbeliever? It's like, you believe a God that allows people to have mental illness, to hear voices, to, be deaf or mute or have spinal issues? What do you say? How do you respond to that?
How you grapple with that?
Yeah, how do you grapple with that?
One of the greatest things about our God is that He's the living God and He's a merciful God. Now, there's a theological word I could use right now to try to go into that by God allowing for His mercy to be seen, all that kind of stuff. That's just too heavy on that side. But what I want to come on the lighter side and say to all of those who, as a believer, if that's the reason that you're not believing our God because He allows sickness, disease, germ, viruses, even to a society that He created, you're low level. You just put God at a very low level. If He's the creator, you believe that part, God believes the creator. Mm-hmm. If He's the creator, all right, and then He let me sin, He let me lie, He let me do all that. So what we should be seeing is His mercy, all right? Anything that I suffer on earth, I deserve almost, you know what I'm saying? But He don't let me get what I do deserve. So yes, am I saying He's a God who loves us, allow us to trust in Him, and the whole goal to one end of the day is a God to push us to Himself. Now, do I understand it? No. Do I have all the answers? No. But if I gotta decide whether I'm gonna stick with the God who's living God, who is the creator God, who can get me out of that, or do I worship a rock, Buddha, something that a statue that cannot even understand my pain? That's what I would say to that. At least I got a God who understands my pain. I don't have all the answers to say why God let one family go through one thing and why He let another go through this. We're talking backstage about how God let this kid suffer only that He may get glory. The Bible says He suffered that God may get the glory. Who want to be tagged with that? I mean, who want your child with cancer only for a preacher to come in and say, God got to get the glory? That's not the right thing to say at that time. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Even though God may get the glory out of it, but God's glory is revealed through different things and different platforms.
It is. And so just keep on living, keep on trying, keep on asking God to show you. Keep on trusting, keep on believing.
My mom and dad, I get it, they divorced. My children home now, right? I love my kids. If anything happens to them, go through anything, they're the part of me that want to take something away from them. They don't have to suffer and go through stuff. Yes. But there's also part of me, if they gotta suffer, be at home with me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yes. If you gotta go through it, yes. if you just gotta do it, if that's, I can't do enough to stop it. Now I'm not even God as a dad with that emotion to say I can't stop it or do enough to stop it. But if you're gonna have pain, I prefer to be with me. Right. So if you're gonna have that unbelief out there, you prefer to be on this side.
Yes.
If you gotta have it,
right.
If you're gonna,
because nobody else out here, Buddha's not saying that He's the great I am. That He. But that's not for today. Okay. All right. Listen. How do you handle people who want faith answer to factual questions?
That's I'm one of those guys too now. When people ask you factual stuff and we turn around and give them spiritual faith answers.
Let's give the people an example.
Example. My wife got type 1 diabetes. Mm-hmm. Diabetes, right? So she said, "What do I need to do to get the blood sugar down?" Well, take a shot. Mm-hmm. That's a factual question.
Right.
That's a factual answer.
Right.
What do I need to do to get blood sugar down? Well, let's see. The Bible says, the Word of God says, trust God, walk by faith, not by sight.
Right.
That was not she didn't ask for a faith answer. Mm-hmm. Now, it's going to take my faith to trust for it to go down, but I think we have to also respect the fact that people are asking us fact questions, do the best we can. If that's a fact answer required, give them that.
Right, yeah. Science and meeting reality and biblical answers, you gotta kind of sort through it. Does it make sense? Like if somebody's asking you how do they become healed from type 1 diabetes, you're not gonna say faith walk. No, because they may not make it to faith walk. Like you said, they need the insulin, take the insulin.
They do. And I think we need to make sure we distinguish, there's a distinction between mental illness and being keep your mental wellness together. Because we try to, I think we mix them too together. And sometimes people can feel because they got certain things.
Oh.
And when we talk about, when you like you ministered one Sunday about how we should all rest, get our wushak. That is true, and we should. But if you're not careful, the person who got a illness can't relate.
Wow.
They can't rest enough
Right.
to do that. You know what I'm saying? They have to have something to manage them, to regulate that, and not feel ashamed or embarrassed, because we all got some kind of disability that we all deal with. You just might not. You can manage yours better than others, and God grace you. But it first with mental illness, though, it really, my heart goes out to them, and those who are taking care of them.
Oh, of course. Caregivers, I feel, they deal with the person that they're taking care of. They're dealing with their illness plus their own physical, mental, financial, emotional, all the things. So you have a double whammy. And sometimes those people find it even harder to take a mental break, because they're like, if I don't do it for the person I'm taking care of, who's gonna step in and do it?
You know, and sometimes they're afraid to put themselves on pause. Right? If they put themselves on pause, that means it may pause.
Yeah.
And then you got the person who they taking care of, start freaking out because someone else showed up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to manage that part with people, because the dependency is real.
Right.
You know, I remember I hope my wife don't mind me sharing this. I remember my mother-in-law's mother was sick, her grandmother was sick. And my mother-in-law were like, you know, it's just too much for me. I gotta put her in, put her in a nursing home, because I just can't do this thing myself, because she got a family too. You know, I remember my mother-in-law just grabbing with that though. She's the only daughter she had, all right. And she's done. My mother-in-law did well taking care of my mother, but it was time where it was also affecting everything else she had going. And finally, she did put her in a nursing home. I don't think she lasted 6 months.
Whoa.
Because of the changing environment.
Yeah.
Dependency won't see the daughter that much. And we were trying our best not to make it my law own that. But can you imagine the enemy,
getting in her head,
commercials, people,
feel like she didn't do a good enough job, or
but you ain't there when she cleaning up a poop. You ain't there for all that. But then you going to judge her based on that one decision. So I know it can be hard. I don't know personally, because I haven't had to deal with that yet. I probably don't have to as much as, but that's a lot to put on a person. That's a lot of pressure for someone who's taking care of someone who can't take care of themselves.
I admire your mother-in-law, though, because as we talked about on the mental health panel, recognizing your own signs and symptoms of distress and knowing when things start manifesting in your own life, when it's time to let some things go, when it's time to allow somebody to stand next to you and say, okay, let me help you. Let me take a load off your back. So when things start manifesting in your health, in your mind, even in your money, if you find yourself every month, $1,000 short, where you had them, you made the money, but you're just spending it frivolously trying to do for everybody, or overcompensate, that might be the time where you need to take a time out with yourself and say, all right, listen, nothing's gonna change unless I change. Yeah, I mean, having that moment with yourself, and I think a lot of people know when they're not well mentally. I'm not talking mental illness. When they're not mentally well, when they're not in a good space, when they're on the brink of depression. Just they know. But they don't know what to do next. That's really I think they struggle with the next. Okay, I do have this feeling of hopelessness or whatever, but how do I deal? And so finding that safe space.
Good word.
And that's why community is so important. I love this community.
Good word. Safe space is a good word.
The more I am a part of the community here, the more I see its importance, the more I try to pull other people in, because I know what community has done for me, what it's done.
But community also will have someone accountable to you. 'Cause like someone can see you every week or every other week, once a month, whatever, and say, "Are you okay?"
Yeah, I'm not.
Like, what you mean? Are you okay? I don't know what it is, but something. All right, something. You know, it's like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And all that's because you hang around community.
And people recognize.
They recognize you like, oh, it's a self check. I need to figure out how can I manage this better. The criticality of mental health.
There you go. All right, y'all. Woo, we could go on and on and on about mental health.
Yes.
And we are so glad that you are here in this space with us. So continue to come back to the Mission Critical podcast. We have so much more that we want to just share with you. Listen, ring our bell, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can know when the Mission Critical podcast is airing next. All right, until next time, family, be blessed.